In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to draw a skeleton with a gesture with basic human proportions. Now, a proportion basically means the size relationships between the things in the body, okay? So the size of perhaps the head relative to the whole body. So when we're looking at the human body, the body is usually 7.5 head lengths. That's kind of the unit of measurement. So if we measure the head top to bottom with our fingers, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 down here, that is a proportionate body. So we're not going to get too hung up on this when we're making our Dia de los Muertos portrait. But I do want you to kind of be mindful of proportions, because typically students tend to draw the human head much bigger than it should be and hands much smaller. So we're going to kind of work on this. So the first thing we want to do is we want to draw our skeleton's head. So start at the top of the page, and I want you to draw it smaller than you think you need to draw it, okay? So with this size paper, I would say it would be maybe a little over an inch, because we want to leave the space between the top of the page and the bottom of the page, so your skeleton isn't crammed up against the top and bottom. So let's say I draw my skeleton. You know what? I'm going to do this in Sharpie so it shows up a little better. For my skeleton, I want to kind of start with a part of a circle and come down here and kind of go to a little point. I'm going to do sort of an upside down heart for the nose, big circles for the eyes, and then for my mouth, depending on what the gesture or the emotion is of it, you could do like a little smile or a frown or whatever it is. But remember, these are usually pretty joyful. They're supposed to be celebratory. So a smile might be good. And then you could do your little teeth. Now from there, we want to come up with what our skeleton's gesture is going to be. So I'm going to show this to you in red Sharpie so it shows up well on the video. You are going to be doing this whole thing in pencil, but anything that I do in red, you're going to be doing so light with your pencil that you can erase it later, because these are not permanent lines. They're just gesture lines. So first off, measure the size of your skeleton, and let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5, okay? So this is going to go almost to the bottom of my page here, okay? So this is actually how tall my skeleton will be. And what I want to do is think about my gesture. So I'm going to have my skeleton be an artist. And rather than doing my whole skeleton, all the bones right now, I'm going to do basically a stick figure, okay? This is the only time you're allowed to do stick figures, is when you're doing gesture lines. So I first want to find kind of where the bottom of basically his bottom will be, or his legs will kind of meet on his hips. So I do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, right here. So I'm going to make sort of a center line come to here, leave room for his neck. I'm going to do his shoulders coming across. Now I'm going to have one arm sort of holding a palette close in front of his belly. So the top part of my arm is 1.5 head lengths, so 1.5, good, I made it the right size. And forearm, I'm going to check as well, 1. Okay, it's about 1 head length. Okay, so now I have my arm here, and the hand is typically almost the size of the face. Okay, so now I know that's kind of where my hand would be. And then I want to have the other arm kind of coming up as if my skeleton is painting. So you see how I'm always measuring those with my fingers? So I'm kind of comparing it to here. Now I'm going to have another line here to kind of represent where my hips are going to connect, and I'm going to do my legs. So let's see, 1, 2 is this bone here, the femur. So 1, 2, doop. 1, 2, doop. Those are my knees. Okay, and then I'm going to measure 1 1/2, 1 1/2. Okay, and then I'm going to know my feet are going to go here. So now that I have kind of my gesture drawn out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some kind of simple bones to this. Now, if you would like to follow this really carefully and have the bones that are showing on your body be really, really detailed, you can do this. Now, keep in mind also, any clothes that you add to this are going to cover your skeleton. So if I'm adding a dress to this, I'm not going to see any of the bones in here, or if I'm adding a shirt or pants, this will be missing. So you're only showing the bones that you would see present in the picture. But I'm going to show you how to draw all the bones because, you know, if you're doing a swimmer or a gymnast or something like that, we might see more bones. So for my neck, I'm going to kind of just do 1, 2, 3 little circles there. For my collarbone, I'm going to come across here. For the top part of my arm, I'm going to do a circle connected to kind of a rectangle, and then a little part that flares out like that. And I will do kind of another circle with a rectangle connected to there. Same thing. Circle with a rectangle. So a lot of times we're seeing the joint, and then we are seeing also the long part of the bone. Then I'm going to do my breastbone and kind of do almost like parentheses for the sides of my rib cage. Come up here and just do these kind of little scalloped lines. I'm probably not doing the right amount of ribs, but I'm just kind of representing this. Then for my spine, can do that in there. And for my hips, I do almost like the shape of a butterfly. Okay, so this is my hip and pelvis. Okay, now from there, I can do, come out, draw a little circle, down like 2 parallel lines, same thing here. So you can just follow along with this. Okay, here's my kneecap, same thing, flare out, 2 parallel lines or a rectangle, and flare out, flare out. And then you're seeing your feet foreshortened. So you were just going to see the little bones in your feet as almost like little rectangles. Okay, 5 little rectangles. It gets smaller as you get toward the pinky toe. And you could do like a little triangle on the end. If you're wearing shoes though, you're not going to see your feet. Okay, you're just going to put shoes on. And here's my real basic proportionate skeleton. Now, any decorations that you're going to be adding to this, remember, clothing, hair, shoes, any kind of those Mexican folk art style, you know, designs would cover the bones. So this is just kind of a basic skeleton. Use in here what you need. I'm just adding my hands. And make it your own.